My name is Sarah Harvey, and I'm a Gold Consultant with Team Powerhouse. I wanted to go over a simple way to create a quote. This is one of those skills that seems scary at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be sending out quotes. Today's goals, what a quote really is, what it's used for, the info you need to collect before quoting, how to choose a supplier, a step-by-step walkthrough, and some of my favorite tips and tools that I use, and then we'll go over a Q&A and some bonus resources for you. So what is a travel quote? A travel quote is simply a proposal. It shows your client what's possible within their budget based on their preferences. It's not a commitment yet, but it gives them a clear picture of the price, perks, and payment details. This is one of the key ways to turn interest into a booking. There's some info you need before quoting, which is when you would qualify your client. Before you do anything, you want to log website. You can go to under Evolution and get their cruise qualifier, or you can create your own. You always want to make sure you have the traveler's name and contact info, the destination that they would like to go to, the dates, and if they're flexible or firm dates, the number of travelers, which includes the adults and children. And you always want to make sure you have the ages of the children at the time of travel, and always get the budget. You don't want to waste your time quoting a 5-star resort when their budget says more of a 3-star. So you always want to ask questions to make sure you have the roundabout amount they're trying to spend. And then, of course, their interest, if they would like a beachfront, an adventure, luxury, etc. And then choosing a supplier. Now, this part depends on the trip. If it's an all-inclusive, I always suggest Vax, Jet, Apple Vacations. Expedia Tap has a lot of all-inclusive. For hotels and flights, I personally love Expedia Tap. They have so many options. But once you get used to the different suppliers, you'll have your go-to. And then for tours and activities, Viator and Project Expedition is amazing. And then golden tickets also if for like sporting events and concerts. I always suggest use what you're most comfortable with, or test 2 to 3 different suppliers to compare rates. So step-by-step walkthrough. Here's how we build a quote. You log into the supplier once you choose which supplier, and then enter your destination, the dates, the traveler's info. You can filter based on what your client told you from the price, amenities, reviews, and so on. You can choose 1 to 3 solid options just so you can present a few different options. Then you can either save that quote through the supplier, screenshot it, create your own through Google Docs or Jotform's another good one. You can use the supplier's quote tool. One thing I learned the hard way in the beginning, my very first quote, it was a really big quote, and I did not know that Vax sent the supplier's info with the quote. It was a big party, and I emailed it directly to the client instead of to myself, and they went directly to the supplier. Always email it to yourself first, then edit it to where it does not show the supplier you're going through. Add your own branding and message to the quote before sending it to the client. And then some mistakes to avoid: quoting without asking for a budget. Like I said, you always want to make sure you do have an roundabout budget for them. Forgetting to include taxes or baggage fees. Also, resort fees. That's a big one that you never want to forget. So when the client arrives, they're not surprised. Sending just one single quote and getting ghosted, you always want to send a few different options and follow up within 24 to 48 hours after sending. People get busy, so sometimes they'll forget to get back to you, and that always helps to stay consistent and make sure you follow up. Some tools that help, these are the ones that I personally use: Google Sheets for quote tracking. This helps with keeping all your suppliers separate. You can list different suppliers and make a column for all inclusive excursions. It helps keep it all separate. And then Google Docs and Jotform and Canva, they're the ones that I use for templates. They make sure your quotes look professional and pretty. And then a supplier cheat sheet. This helps with keeping your suppliers separate, and then a simple checklist to use before every quote. So that way you have everything ready. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to get started. The more you quote, the more confident you'll get. You've got a whole team behind you, and we all start somewhere. The first few quotes are very stressful and you get really worried, but just relax. I promise it gets easier, especially with choosing the suppliers you'll get comfortable with, and it does get easier. Now I'll go over the steps I take when I get a quote. I always suggest starting out with qualifying your client. Jotform is what I use, and here is one of my travel quote request forms. This is just a basic one, and then I have one for my cruises, if it's a cruise one, because there's different questions that they would need to ask. So this is just a basic one: first and last name, phone number, email. Where would you like to travel? What airport would you depart from? Departure date, return date. And then what type of vacation are you planning? How many adults? How many children? How many rooms? What ages are the children at the time of travel? All the basic information. What do you prefer for your flight? If you would like transportation, your shuttle, your rental car, and then complete this section for cruises only. If you want a copy of this or just a reference, send me a message and I'd be happy to help and send you the ones that I use. I also use Google Docs, my questionnaire. Here is an itinerary quote that I had created. So when you do your quote, you can add pictures to your quote, add different information that you would like to give to them about the resort. This is all the quote details, the airline details, any notes you would like to add, and then photos. Here's just a simple one. Actually, here's another one. Here's one for a cruise. And all this, it just starts with a blank template, and then you can add your own photos and make it look nice. This is what it'll look like when they get it. This explains what it came with, their itinerary for the cruise. Then you list the cruise charges, the total amount due, the pricing details, and this was for 2 rooms. So that's why there's a few different ones. So, and then you can add however many photos you like. It gets really easy once you do it. I will go over how to do a quote with Expedia Tap real quick, so you can see. With Expedia, they've recently started doing it where before they didn't have the option to send yourself a quote, but now they do. So I really like that. For instance, your properties are right here. That's just hotels. If it's flight only, you can choose flight only. Packages would be your properties and flights, or property, flight, and car. Your rental cars, your activities such as tours and excursions. They also have airport transfers and a groups section. So let's just do August 3rd, August 8th. And then here's where you choose how many rooms, adults and children. You can add another room, for instance, 2 adults in one room, 2 adults in the other. And just click search. So here's where you can filter out whatever you would like to filter out. You can, let's do it all inclusive. And they put them in order from recommended. So I'll choose this one right here. And these are the photos you could share with your client. I'll download them and paste them onto my Google Doc. You can also add any information about the resort. I always use the name of the resort for the title and add information to make it look good. And this is where you choose the rooms. Let's generate the quote. All right, so you would go down in whichever room you decide, you can go right here to generate quote. With Expedia Tap, I really like it because it does not send your client any information about the supplier. You can send this directly to the client. It'll have all your information. So you can add your logo, business name, phone number, email, the traveler's name, all the information about the resort. This makes it a lot easier to do. You can also add a percentage. So for instance, if you want to add a 10% to it on top of your commission, you can apply that there and it hides it from your client. For instance, we'll preview it. I'll just put my name so that way you can see what it looks like. This is what your client will receive, which I love because it shows them everything and no information about the supplier. Now, with Vax, they quote, you want to always email it to yourself and then remove the supplier information before sending it to the client. But other than that, once you send them 2 or 3 quotes, if they're not happy with the price, go in and mess around with the prices, try to find better rates, go through a few different suppliers. Does anyone have any questions? Besides Viator and Golden Tickets for activities, Project Expedition is another good one. Expedia Tap. It depends on what activities you're looking for, but there are many different ones that you can use for activities. If it's for excursions, Project Expedition, yep. That's a really good one. And then of course Viator and Evo Plus has really good prices and Evo Rewards. And those ones are instant commissions. It really depends on what type of activities you're looking for. Viator, though, I really like because you can share your link with your client. If, say, they go on a cruise and they didn't want to do any tours or excursions before they're until they got there, if they have your link, you'll still earn commission on anything they book. Events 365 and Golden Tickets for sporting events and concerts. Anyone else have any other questions?
You said that was Events 365?
Yeah, that's a
Never
really
heard of
good
that
one.
one.
They have really good deals all the time for sporting events and concerts as well. Also comedy events that they have. They have a lot of different ones on there.
You just go straight to their site?
They're on the suppliers list, yep. Right. And then Project Expedition too is another good one. Any other questions or anything that I could help with? If you need any templates for a quote, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to send you. Also, Jotform. If you go to Jotform, you can go to templates. You can use their templates on Jotform to create a quote or their questionnaire. If you don't feel comfortable making your own yet, you can a form and use a template or a smart PDF form. It converts it for you. So it makes it really easy. I love using Jotform for all of my qualifiers and quotes. Thank you for joining.